Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In Your House, starring Hollywood Howse. This is the People's Podcast. Ha ha. Hey, guys, you already know who it is. It's your boy, Con, ready to get at work. When it comes to this professional wrestling business, that is what we do, and hey, we love it. So let you guys know where you guys can listen to this at. You guys can listen to this at Apple Podcast, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Hey, you don't have an Apple device? That's all right. We're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, we can get to you. And hey, I'm looking at my clock here, and it looks like it's time to look at my watch. I'm checking the time because the last time that I checked, In Your House was the hottest professional wrestling podcast in the Midwest, because we hit you with that work round the clock. You guys already know what it is, and you guys already know who I am, and that is the director, Hollywood Howse, ready to hit you with another jam-packed and exciting episode of the podcast that you love to love, and that is In Your House. And hey, it's time to talk a little wrestling with a hip-hop feel, hitting you with those LA vibes. We're back. We're going to give it to you, Jack. We're going to give it to you in your house. And that's exactly how we intend to give it to you, is in your house, or in your car, or when you're at work, or when you're on your way home from work, or maybe you got one of them factory jobs. You just got to throw something in your ear to make the time go by, and you like to talk and listen to a little wrestling. Hey, In Your House is here for you, Jack. And you already know them vibes. It's going to be another great episode, another heavy hitting episode round here over at In Your House. And man, I can't hit y'all with that work without a little content. So of course, I had to bring in my co-host, my producer. He's the one who curates all the content and curates all the chaos and curates all the controversy. And that, of course, is my man, the marvelous Mr. Bell. How's it going, bro?
Yo, what up, my brother Con? What up, household? If you didn't get that from Con, my name is the marvelous Mr. Bell. I'm the Farnsworth Bentley to the man, the myth, the legend, the director, Hollywood House's P. Diddy. I am here to curate all of the household's needs, and we're putting a little overtime, aren't we?
Yes, man. Yes, we got a really big episode this episode, man, and we've started diving back into having guests on the show, and a lot of what this podcast was built on was highlighting talent, and we really love to do that. Also, Bill, we had a really big episode, or not an episode, an event. I mean, I guess you want to call it that, but a big event this past weekend. Over on the WWE, the mainstream side of things, and that was Extreme Rules. Of course, you guys already know, huge debut of the returning Bray Wyatt, and we're definitely going to talk about that. But while that was happening on the WWE side of things, Bell, we actually got a chance to reconvene in person and get together this past weekend at Emerge Wrestling, man. So how was Emerge for you? Because I had a good time, definitely enjoyed seeing everybody, but that was the first time we got a chance to see each other in person in a little bit.
I know. It was much needed. We got some work done. I'm a little sad about the results of Emerge, but maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. And help dive in and let the household know what we had going on at Emerge. But I had so much fun at Emerge, and it was good to be able to to link with you. We got some ideas done, we got some things done, and we got some stuff done for the household, and we can't wait to put those things out.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. If there's one thing that we enjoy doing, I say we. I speak for myself. I speak for you. I speak for the the other members of the set. Is we love to put out content that leaves people like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
there's some crazy stuff going on, and like it's kind of become a thing that we do where we make these movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, it kind of goes with the whole set thing, the whole Hollywood house thing, the whole Hollywood thing as a whole. And now we're making these movies, these segments, these little videos that we're putting out, and people vibe with them. People follow what we're doing, man. And we got a chance to do a whole lot this past year. We've done some in Vegas, done some in Tennessee. And of course, man, you already know that as the set has come together, as we've started to become this coalition, this brotherhood, this faction, we have also decided to invest what the set is into the future of the business.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
and us doing that, man, we want to give back. Like, you hear all the time, dog, like, leave the business better than you found it, give back to the business. And it's like, when you're on the other side of things, you fans out there that listen to the show, you members of the household, you're probably like, what do you mean when you say give back to the business? And when I think of giving back to the business, I mean just being a solid person for somebody that's trying to figure out this dream, trying to get to their goals in professional wrestling, and not be a scumbag and take advantage of them, and put them and guide them in the right direction. And that's really what I wanted the set to be about. My vision for the set was supposed to take in young talent and be a beacon of light in an otherwise dark world of professional wrestling. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think that as a group, with the new members that we've introduced this year, I think that we've done that, man. I think that we're making light of that.
I think the set is making strong waves and strong steps forward, even if certain members of the set don't seem to like it. I ain't putting names on nothing, but because I ain't trying to get pounced. But
we gonna come for you.
I mean, yeah, I'm always number one in it. I'm just never mind. Never mind. The set is strong, y'all. The set is strong, and we're stronger than ever, building that bond. And look, this weekend in Columbus, we all got a chance to just be together. Or at least most of us we're all together in one spot. And even though some things happen, headbutts happen, families fight, it's okay. Families fight. It's natural.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And part of that weekend, like you said, we almost had the entire set in attendance. But from the set members that we had there, we got a chance to pull them on to this show, and we advertised it. You guys saw it. If you guys saw it on the In Your House Facebook page, that is really jumping right now. Yeah. Where are we at? Where are we at? Are we over 23,000? Oh, how close are we? Just to kind of put a number on it, if you can.
I believe we are at right around 21,000 likes and followers. With every day we're just gaining more and more and more. Yeah. So thank you to the household that is out there subscribing to the content that we're putting out. And understanding and the jokes, and understanding the real stuff that we put out there. So shout out to the household out there.
Absolutely. So like I said, we went ahead and advertised this on the page, on my personal page, and our guest did as well. And we finally got a chance to get him on here. And our guest today is somebody who is really making strides in the Midwestern professional wrestling scene. You're starting to see this cat come around and seeing his face on more posters, seeing his face on more match graphics. You're seeing clips of him out there, of him doing awesome stuff. And like us, here at In Your House, myself and Bell, we're also fans of characters. We're also fans of people who could tell a story and being a little bit more than just what you see on a normal indie show. And I think that this cat encapsulates that. Super talented. Um, I mean, major background in not just wrestling, but in acting as well. Has done some really cool stuff that we've got a chance to see over the last few months that we got to know him. But we're here now to talk about his wrestling career, everything that he's doing wrestling wise. And I think that that's important to highlight because this young man is really on the come up and really making big noise. And we got a chance to take him under our wing and be, once again, like I said, that beacon of light to help him guide through his career. And I'm really excited to have him as a member of the set. And I'm really excited to be talking to this young man here today, here on In Your House. And that is Mr. Broadway, Kyndal Fyre. How's it going this morning, bro?
I mean, geez, what an introduction, Con. It's kind of got me feeling a little special.
Well, you are special, sir.
morning.
Do not undersell yourself. You are special. You are a part of the set. You are a part of what is curating and being created.
Yes.
Don't undersell yourself, sir.
You're
happy
right.
to have
You're right.
you.
I'm so happy to be here.
Man, we're happy to have you, man. I've been wanting to get you on the show for a long time, but of course, conflicting schedules. You got a whole lot of stuff going on, as do I always have a lot of stuff going on. But we were able to finally get together and make this work. And I think that this is something that the fans really needed to hear because people come to me personally, whether they DM me or maybe even in person, they're like, hey, that Kyndal Fyre guy that you work with, I like what he does. He's cool. I like his whole Broadway thing. People dig it. So like now they get a chance to get a better understanding of who Mr. Broadway is. And I think that that's cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, every single time I go to a show and there's someone who's just like, oh, I enjoy what you do. Oh, I love that promo that you did. Oh, I really enjoy watching your matches. And I don't know. It's humbling. It's quite an experience, especially with how long I've been, in the wrestling business. So like this change has probably been one of the most positive ones of my entire career.
Good. And we're glad to hear that, man. That's what we want. Like, we want to see talented people get what they deserve, get their just dues. And I feel like that now at this stage in your career, you're finally starting to get the just dues that you deserve. I know that I've been a fan for a while, and I'm definitely going to ask you all these questions I want to ask you. I always make sure, especially getting a first-time guest on, I definitely have like a normal list of questions I like to ask you because I think that they're important questions for the fans to build that connection with Mr. Broadway, build that connection with Kyndal Fyre. But Bell, your introduction to Mr. Broadway, Kyndal Fyre, and now having him here on the show, where are you at with not only seeing the growth of Mr. Broadway, but working so closely with it, and now having him on the show today?
Oh man. So my introduction to Mr. Fyre was at a distance at first because you know, Con, yourself, you said, hey, look, we need to look at this kid and see everything that he's doing. And I started watching him, and I watched him from afar in a distance, not stalkerish. I'm just, trying to curate things, don't take it weird. But so I've been able to just been utterly surprised by not only how quickly he is growing in his wrestling acumen, but all the other things that he brought to the table. I don't know if the household knows or understands, but you are a SAG actor, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, which which means that you are an actor. You are not a YouTuber. You are not anything else. You are a part of the Actors Union, the Actors Guild, things like that. So bringing that energy to the table, like, I mean, how do you not walk into a locker room and just not be like, uh, I know how to do this probably better than a lot of these other people do without the wrestling part. Just the being able to story tell and understand concept of that. How do you come across way more humble than I really expected you to be honest. So I guess my question is how do you contain yourself in that with all the things that you literally bring to the table?
You know, I've realized in life that you may be good at something, but there's always somebody who is better than you at something else. And one thing that I do know when I walk into a locker room is that maybe a good 75% of the people there could go 25, 30 minutes, an hour of a match and not even get tired. And that's something that I've been working on myself,
Mm-hmm.
trying to be able to go, the distance is what they say in
Yeah.
Hercules,
Yeah,
one of a popular Disney movie. But it's just a thing where it's like, okay, I'm here to entertain, and a
Yeah.
lot of people, they come to wrestle, but there has to be an equal balance, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
um if the entire card is just full of everybody, it's chaining here, okay, here's a lot of big moves here, a lot of springboards here, but then there's no initial storytelling, and I just feel like I have to be that one. I feel like more people will leave remembering whether or not Mr. Broadway started his match singing, compared to will they remember me starting with a wrist lock.
Right. Right.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I
And
dig that.
I I feel like that it's important to have that other side. You know what I'm saying, Bell? Like I think that especially at the level that of indies that we are at right now, like what Kyndal does is so unique, so different that like he's going to stand out at any show that he's on because it
Everywhere.
exactly.
Yes.
Like there's anywhere he could pretty well go anywhere and it'll work, and I see that, and that's what I saw because I scout talent. I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm always I promise I am always looking on cats Twitters. I'm always looking at cats Instagrams. I'm always looking at cats Facebooks, and I see the content that they post.
Hmm.
And that's a lot of how I base on myself. That's a lot of how I base on who I'm going to decide I want to work with as a manager, because as you both have realized, and as a lot of people have started to realize, that with me it's a little bit more than just stepping through that curtain with you, like you're going to get more than that. And I'm not making this about myself. I'm just saying I'm going to take the time to make sure that you have graphics done. I'm going to make sure that you have the time to have your videos look crisp if I can, produce that and whatnot. And there's a lot more that comes with what I do besides just stepping through that curtain and trying to make you look big, um and I think people are realizing that about me. But the point is that that's what I look for, and I definitely saw somebody that had a unique look, a unique gimmick. If and we're gonna talk about that, if that's even what you want to call it, that, and we'll definitely get into that. And somebody who was overlooked, more than anything else, because I know that feeling of being overlooked and like, dang, I have this big thing to offer wrestling, and like nobody's giving me a shot, nobody's giving me a chance, so that's what I saw when I saw somebody like Kyndal who was being overlooked. So getting right into the nitty gritty of things here, Kyndal. I always like to pick a wrestler's brain. I always like to pick my guest brain and figure out more about them, who they are, where they came from, and whatnot. So I guess the first question that I want to ask you is, where did this professional wrestling journey start with you? Not as a trained professional wrestler. We'll definitely get to at some point when you started training, but I mean just on a fan level. Where did this all start with you? Where did you have your earliest memories of becoming a wrestling fan?
Oh my gosh. I remember I don't even know my age. I just remember being, I believe it was in my mom's bedroom, and wrestling was on the television, and I'm not sure if it was on TNT at that time. But I just remember seeing like The Rock. I remember seeing the Hardy Boys,
Yeah.
and there was just something. I, I didn't care about anybody else on that television
Yeah.
aside of The Rock. Whenever The Rock
I understand this.
stepped foot onto the stage, walked down that ramp, and hit that ring, if it was on commercial, I didn't care. In the other matches, I didn't care. There was something about The Rock that kept me watching.
Yeah.
You can ask my mom. I used to grow up saying that man was my dad. I still do.
You too. We're brothers. We're brothers.
Hey,
we are
listen,
brothers. I swear to
shoot.
God. Yes.
But it was just, he has so much energy. And I felt like, growing up, I was such a quiet kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would consider myself the Charlie Brown growing up. I was the outcast. I was the last one chosen at dodgeball. I didn't get anything for Valentine's Days. It was a sad childhood, but The Rock, anytime that I had the opportunity to watch The Rock, it made me feel just nothing else mattered.
Yeah.
He was a very big, and then when he switched over to Hollywood, that made it even better.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching him. I played him only in the games. If he wasn't in the game, I didn't want it. Well, what was the point? You know what I mean? And I remember my very first game was No Mercy.
Love No Mercy.
Yeah, that was my very first game, and The Rock was always. I remember doing, I think it was a tag team King of the Ring tournament, something, because back in that time the games really didn't make any sense as far as like theory, but
Yeah.
you could do whatever. And I remember playing him and China as a tag team, and winning the entire King of the Ring tournament. But that was, surprisingly, that's the only memory that I have of that game, but it was very special for me.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. No, I totally get it. There's so many wrestlers that I've talked to, and over these last few years I've talked to so many. And one thing that I've seen that it's not the case in every single case when I ask that question, but so many wrestlers really caught influence from some WWE video game.
Yes.
At some point. And I know I grew up playing a lot of them. I have a lot of fond memories of like No Mercy and Smackdown versus Raw. So many New Japan or not New Japan. It's another game. Fire Pro Wrestling Returns. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, Fire Pro. And man, I was just and you talk about having a childhood where you were like the quiet kid and everything, and I totally relate to that because that's exactly how I was. But for me, I found a lot of joy in like playing those wrestling video games, and kind of like what I like mentally, like a dog. I'm almost embarrassed to admit this, but I would have like a notepad and paper, and I'd be like, all right, here's the card for tonight. I'd write down all the names and I'd do it myself in my own mind, use my imagination. I had fun doing that, dog. So it's just one of those things where I feel like there's a lot of influence that comes from those video games.
Yes.
And you talked about The Rock. And yeah, Rock is somebody who comes up a lot too. Was there any other influences that you had besides The Rock that kind of influenced who you are now as a wrestler, or just somebody that you thought was cool that stuck with you?
Oh my goodness. So like, I have a top 5 list of people who I can say truly influenced Mr. Broadway, Kyndal Fyre as a whole. And it's gonna sound like a very weird list, but just stick with me.
I already like this.
So The Rock, of course, is number one.
Yep.
After that, I have Booker T.
Makes sense.
Okay, I like Booker T. Like Booker.
After Booker, I have William Regal.
William Regal.
Okay,
Okay,
I get it.
I like.
Mhm.
Yes, Lord Stephen Regal. Good.
This is where it gets weird. At number 4, I have Rico.
Rico. That's so left field.
Okay.
Yes, Rico, and then my number 5 is Trish Stratus.
Trish Stratus. Okay,
Yes.
okay. I love some Trish. All right, love me
Okay.
some Trish.
If I can break each one down just a little bit. So of
Please.
course you already know The Rock. It's the electricity, it's the personality, it's the the drive. For Booker T,
millions.
Yes, the millions. For Booker T, it's his strikes were just so crisp.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I would hate to face Booker T and take a chop or anything from that man. For William Regal, he just the regality. Like, this man walks around like a Shakespeare character, and and then not just that, he was regal, but also he could put you at any hold at any point of a match, and I love that about him. Rico, just a free guy. I mean, like, somebody who wasn't afraid of doing things that was, not sticking to the status quo.
Yeah. Trying stuff, trying things,
trying different things. Like, Rico, I feel like was very highly accepted.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't really think back about that. With that type of gimmick, especially in that time period, a lot of people were very, like, not accepting of that lifestyle. But when Rico came on the screen, nobody cared about the sexuality. It was, he didn't mind being free. He didn't mind doing, crazy things. And I feel like that's where my experience with, Mr. Broadway comes in. I mean, I don't tell many people this, but I wasn't going to do Mr. Broadway. I was, it was originally just an idea.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was just like, I don't know if the wrestling community is going to accept this. Like, are they going to be okay with a guy bursting into show tunes? Half the people may not even know what I'm singing. But I took that risk the same way Rico did.
Yeah.
And with Trish, oh my God, she's just, I don't want to curse, but, like, she is a female dog. That character is literally the worst. And whenever I am in my mood of, like, I forget the world, I really don't care about anybody's feelings, I channel my inner Trish Stratus. It is very, I could care less about you, but I'm going to do everything to make you know that I don't like you.
It's almost a little passive aggressive, almost, in a way.
Exactly. Yes.
But Trish will always, I always have a love for Trish Stratus for the simple fact that she really came up in the business. Like, for somebody that was not born into that business or came up in that business as long as most wrestlers do, she really came in and took the brass ring and ran with it and figured out who Trish Stratus was as a wrestler and who Trish Stratus was as a character. And for that, I will always have love for Trish Stratus.
Yes.
She's one of the pioneers of,
oh my God,
taking women's wrestling and actually trying to take it serious. Now, I know they had their fair share of bra and panties matches and bullshit like that, but, like, you could see how serious they were trying to take their actual wrestling and wrestling acumen and wrestling, knowledge. So and that grew and spurred, everyone else. So,
and the thing about Trish Stratus is that you talk about that time frame in professional wrestling. You brought up the bra and panties matches and whatnot. Well, here's the thing about Trish Stratus is Trish Stratus is still, but in that time as well, a beautiful woman. Great looking, attractive woman. And so she fit in that time frame for that fact, because that's what they were trying to push with their women. But what we learned quickly about Trish, and especially with her feuds with, like, Lita and whatnot, is that when it was time to wrestle, Trish Stratus could wrestle. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's very special about how she was able to transcend that time frame of like, hey, I can be eye candy and I can give you a good match as well. And I think that that's special about Trish.
Absolutely.
Yes, very
Absolutely.
true. I mean, the women in that time period, they were beautiful, but they would probably knock any of these current divas, I mean, women out with just one right hook. I mean, if you think about you had Lita, you had Trish Stratus, another one of my favorites. I mean, she wasn't on my list, but a favorite growing up was Ivory.
Ivory.
Ivory,
Yes.
Oh,
she has such, especially when she was doing was it Rights to Censorship?
Right to Censor. Yep, it was
Mhm.
Right to Censor.
She had such, I will always remember her match against China was what, 3 minutes long? But I will always, the one at WrestleMania, I will
Yeah.
always remember that match because Ivory walked in as champion. And I remember when China walked out, did her entrance, and Ivory was like with her belt, like, no, I don't like, and I felt that so much. But then, like, as soon as China turned her back, she like attacked her, and I'm just like, this woman sucks. But I love her so much. And then even when she did the recent Royal Rumble and she
Yeah.
walked out with the microphone, I'm just like, why isn't she like a manager or something like currently? Like she needs some sort of contract, I feel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I love I love Ivory and the women of that time from, yes, the Attitude Era. People think about bra and panty matches and stuff like that, and that was definitely happening. But then, I mean, you have talent like Ivory. You had talent like Jazz. You
Mm-hmm.
had talent like Jacqueline.
Mm-hmm.
You had your Mickey
Victor
Jameses. You
Mickey
had
Yes.
James's,
yeah.
Victoria,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Molly Holly, former In Your
Yes.
House guest Molly Holly. I mean, that was such a special time for the women in wrestling, and it just thinks that people only think of the bra and panty side of things, or when they're being promiscuous and in segments and whatnot. But there was some great wrestlers there. But I want to shift
Absolutely.
focus here. And we want to get back on track here as far as talking about Kyndal and everything that Kyndal is achieving as a professional wrestling, everything that he has achieved and everything that he's going to achieve. So I go ahead and Bell, if you want to ask him a question, go ahead. And I got a few that I still want to
Yeah.
ask, but any questions you got for Mr. Broadway?
Yeah. I want to not I want to highlight you and your tag partner Haven Harris
Yes.
for a second and ask you how you guys came to be off script and
Yeah.
how that chemistry has just it looks like it's just a flowing
It's
thing,
there.
natural
Yeah.
thing. So
Yeah.
can you tell us about a little bit about your tag team and tag
Oh,
team partner?
100%. So I remember walking in to a practice for a company that we used to train with, and it was her first day with her two brothers. And I remember watching them. I'm just like, man, they really look like they want to be here. Sometimes you get people to come in and they're just like, oh, I like wrestling. A lot of
Yeah.
women only come in because of their significant other, or, you
Yeah.
know, they may want to try it out, but it's not really something that they really want to do. But I remember seeing Drive amongst the three of them.
Yeah.
And it reminded me so much of when I first started back in 2014.
Okay.
I remember when I first started in the industry, I started with two friends from high school. And right now, he goes by RK Savage. He trains out in Florida. But we had so much passion as a group. And we ended up making a group, and they were originally against it because we were all rookies at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
There's no leadership. There's just the different guys. And then I brought my best friend Ike in, who goes by Ballistic Ike, and we had a guy Moss the Boss. It was a fantastic group. We were just a group of rookies who were just like, listen, even though we're losing every single match, we are making a statement because we want to grow in this industry. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if we lose, it doesn't matter if we win. What matters is that the people leave knowing who the Athletic League of Extraordinary Entertainers Incorporated was. A very long
Yeah.
name. But we had that drive, we had that passion. Unfortunately, you know, our team sort of slowly disbanded over some time. I mean, I around that time I had left to go do Southside with you and Chirac. And then, you know, while I was gone, the other two members left as well. And, you know, it was just basically Savage by himself. He ended up teaming up with JPH. They became a really successful tag team. And I just felt like, man, that was such a missed opportunity. Something that we could have taken far, but you know, it didn't end up that way because life. So seeing, you know, Haven and her brothers, and I was just like, I could remake A Lee. I can
Yeah.
remake the group. We can become successful with it.
Yeah.
And you know, this time there is actual leadership, you know,
Yeah.
somebody who's been around for a while that can be able to guide these, you know, new guys in this industry. Unfortunately, one of her brothers ended up stopping because, you know, it just wasn't really a thing for him. And then the
Yeah.
other one, he moved to Japan, so he'll be training in Japan.
Oh wow.
So right now, it was like we I still wanted to, because of the fact that I saw her passion and her drive. I
Yeah.
was just like, I just want to guide her in the best way possible,
For sure. For
because I know
sure.
that you
Absolutely.
can get lost in this industry. You
Oh yeah.
can, you know, people can use you, especially as a woman.
Oh man.
And
Yes.
I noticed that, you know, with the different people that I've worked with now, she isn't the first woman that I've worked with. But the ones from the past, they basically drop because other people use them, abuse them, you know, outside of wrestling. And
Yeah.
for me, it was like, I have to protect this one at all costs.
For
I
sure. For
have to
sure.
make sure that she has a good career, you know, and not quit within
Yeah.
her first year because of people trying to, you know, use her as a object and be like, hey, we're
Yeah.
gonna, you know, oh, let's be boyfriend and girlfriend. And you
Yeah.
know, I mean, mind you, she's had quite a few people try to you know, take her from our tag team, but it's like, we know that we have a legitimate friendship,
Yeah.
that and there may be people who question, well, you guys are so close. Well, I feel like we're so close because of the fact that we keep it a friendship.
Yeah.
And being that we have a business relationship and a friendship relationship, and being able to bring those two together, you know, like I've said before, when I was working with a lead originally, it was, we were friends, but everything was business all the
Yeah.
time. Then when me and my friend Ike, when we did our tag team, it was like, okay, everything is a friendship thing. Yeah, we'll you know, worry about the business stuff later. But then with Haven, it's like, we have business, we have our friendship, and
Sure.
when we have a good friendship, it makes the business easy. And
Yeah.
when we may disagree on you know, on different things, because you know, I have an idea, she'll have an idea, we may not ever come to an agreement, but at the end of the day, we know that we have a better time working together, you know, and somehow finding a compromise than to just say, okay, well, let's just give up on this tag team thing. Even though not many people has wanted to use us as a tag team because, you know, they find it different. But you know, we I look at us as the Iconics, but of
Yeah.
intergender tag team. We have a dynamic that not many tag teams have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it. I personally, I dig it. I think it's something you should stick around with and keep. And not really worried about small minded Midwesterners that
Yes.
Thank
may
you.
think
Thank
that
you.
that's not a thing that should happen. It's wrestling. It's sports entertainment, as we like to
Thank
say
you.
on this show. Um, and keep it up. Just keep it up, and love what you guys are doing. Love what you guys are rocking with.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's for me personally, looking at it from like a talent scout aspect, because that's how my brain just naturally works. I'm like, wow, you have somebody that is an actual actor, somebody who has a great look, somebody who it has size and Kyndal Fyre, and then somebody who has this raw athletic build, this look, this marketability, and now I'm finding out now this quirkiness, this wackiness inside of Haven Harris that I'm learning about her more as I'm getting to know Kyndal and Haven, and I'm like, wow, I get to work closely with these two young talents at this point of their career. Like for me personally, that's really cool. Like I really think that that's cool to be like, hey, not only am I a small, a small part of their journey and the eventual success that both of them will have, we're actually affiliated. I'm stepping through the curtain with them. I've already done it with Kyndal. Haven't done it with Haven yet, except for when we did it the one time at Emerge, but there's going to be more times to come. And I think that it's cool, the dynamic that you two have, in terms of it's almost like you're the bigger brother,
Mm-hmm.
she's the little sister, and like you're always like, Haven, no, maybe not. Let's maybe not do that. Haven,
Right.
no. And
He
Haven's
said,
like,
"This
yeah,
is
let's do it.
illegal."
Let's do it now.
But like that fire that in that moment of tossing somebody in a trunk, that's that fire that I don't know. It was so weird because a lot of people don't know this, but I was genuinely thinking about retiring like
Wow.
early
Wow.
early this year. I planned on stopping completely. But then like once she came and started and I saw her in the ring and I was just like, I have not seen anybody in person have this much fire in wanting to. I mean, sis would be in the ring for 6 hours if she could.
Yeah.
And I was
Hard
just
worker.
like, here I am working with people who may have been around 5 or 6 years who won't even step into the ring once within an hour of practice, but she'd rather stay in the ring all day. We would go to Planet Fitness and roll around and do chaining and do things and people would be watching, but also I was like, well, she's not embarrassed to do it, so why am I?
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
and then it was just like that fire kind of lit back up in me. It was just like to hear somebody who really wants to do this,
Yeah.
and now it makes me want to do it even more. And I'm just like, that was a crazy. So I guess we can say that thanks to Haven, Mr. Broadway didn't retire, and
Yeah.
you know, we have what we have now of off script.
Wow.
I love it. I
Yeah.
really I really love that story. Like it's a real story. That's the most thing that I like about it. Like it's a real story. This ain't nothing manufactured or anything. It was iron sharpening iron. You looking out for somebody that really has just that like twinkle in her eye. Like we know,
Yes.
Haven likes to she like to play like she's emotionless, but
Right.
but she's got that spark in her eye that she really wants to do it. And like it's a thing where it's like you're helping her out by wanting to look after her, and she's helping you out by rekindling that fire. And I think that
Yes.
that's really cool. Pun intended, rekindling that
Yeah.
fire.
Hey.
but 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 I just think that's really cool, and I think that your guys' relationship is awesome and definitely special, and I'm really excited to see what you guys do together as a team and individually. And during you telling me about that, telling us, me and Bell, about that, you were talking about during that period of time when you and your old group had kind of disbanded a little bit, that you had done some musicals in Chicago. And I think that that's important to highlight, as far as people think of Mr. Broadway and they're like, hey, that's a really cool gimmick.
Right.
And
Yeah,
it's like, well,
this shit's
yeah,
real.
it's really cool. Exactly. I was gonna say it's cool, it's awesome, but maybe not so much a gimmick. So could you kind of expand a little bit on the musicals that you've done and your love of Broadway, and how Mr. Broadway pretty much came to be?
Yes, let me pull up my resume real fast. No. Um, so yeah, my mother, her name is Amitra Self. A quick shameless plug. Infinity, stream Infinity, studio Infinity, everything. This woman basically she's a director, writer, producer. She
Sure.
does it all. And for years I was her actor.
Yeah.
As a child, she would have me, doing certain things, but she didn't really think that there was something I really wanted to do.
Sure.
But I remember my very first time watching a musical. It was Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with Whitney Houston and Brandy. Um, Obsessed is all I have to say. I was obsessed with that movie growing up. I could recite it from top to bottom. And I could tell you everything that happens, even when it comes to the ensembles tracks in the background. It was just something about it. But my mom always did films. She did movies and television. And I remember doing my first film. I was a featured extra in a movie called of Boys and Men. uh I think Robert Townsend was the one who produced it. He was also in it. And Angela Bassett. That was the first film that I did with Angela Bassett. And
Wow.
then my mom ended up doing her own film called It Takes a Village. And I wasn't, initially supposed to, audition. She was just gonna do something, with some other actors. She had an audition. She could not find her main character though. And it was, a young kid, um, about my age at the time. And I said, well, I remember being in the audition room with her and the casting director, and she was just like, I just can't find anybody to play this role. And I was just like, well, I wouldn't mind auditioning for it. And I auditioned. Mind you, a lot of people would probably assume that I just got the role because I was her kid. No, I had to audition. I auditioned. My mom was actually shocked that I did the role. They were just like, let's cast him. He did a
Sure.
good job. So I did that. That was my very first like main character role. And after that, we did so many movies after that. I can't even go through the entire resume for it. But I remember watching then Annie, the 1988 version with Tim Curry and
Yeah.
Bernadette Peters and Carol Burnett. And I was like, oh my God, I really I enjoy this.
Yeah.
And I got into high school and they had auditions for a musical called Honk, and I auditioned. I ended up getting a role, and I was the main antagonist. And um, it's just like my love for musical theater just blossomed from there.
Yeah.
And I felt like musical theater was what I wanted to do more than just straight acting. More than film, and not even just film musical theater, but mostly theater, like on stage musical theater. And I remember doing almost every show in high school. And my junior year in high school, my counselor came to me and showed me the school called AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. Guys, I auditioned for this school 5 times because there was no other school that I wanted to go to at this point.
Right.
It was considered the most prestigious school with, as far as like how many people they have on Broadway. They're currently #1 with the amount of people that graduated from the school who are currently on Broadway. And I auditioned 5 times. It was that 5th time. Now 5 times over the course of 6 years. No, wait. Yeah, 6 years.
Wow.
So I kept auditioning. And I remember the very last time I was just like, I'm going to try this one more time. And if I don't get accepted, I just have to give up the whole musical thing. Because I'm just like, obviously, I'm not that good at it. And
Not true. No, not true.
I remember auditioning. I remember the song that I did. It was Who I'd Be from Shrek the Musical. I remember going home. I did 3 essays in 2 hours, sent in my application fee, sent in my recommendation letter that I got from 2 people. 2 weeks later, I got my acceptance letter.
Nice.
It was
That's what we
the
like to hear.
most surreal thing. Even to this day, I'm getting goosebumps right now thinking about it. It's still one of the most special moments for me.
Yeah.
And that's where I went to New York. I studied, musical theater for 2 years. I saw so many Broadway shows. And then when COVID happened, had to come back home. I was then living in LA. So when I came back home, that's when I did wrestling. I was like, I'm going to go, full force into this until I can, until Broadway opens back up, and then until, I can be able to move back to New York. But I just wasn't enjoying the wrestling, thing at the moment.
Yeah.
Because I was still playing Kyndal Fyre, the lawyer. And I was just like, I have to find some way to update this. And that's where Mr. Broadway was born. I took my love of musical theater, which I am obsessed. If I were to show you guys I have a Broadway playlist on my Apple Music.
Yeah.
And every single time, I'm always consistently adding songs. I'm constantly playing my music. My fiance, I'm pretty sure, gets tired of listening to show tunes every single day. I have 826 songs. That's 45 hours and 10 minutes of musicals.
Ow.
And that's not even the entire Broadway library, mind you.
Oh, man.
Oh, wow.
It is not a gimmick, dog. It's not a gimmick at all.
That is a way of life. That shit is real for him, son.
No doubt, bro. No doubt, bro. And I love it. I love it because I love the fact that he connects with this character, this Mr. Broadway. It's not, once again, not a gimmick. It's an extension of who Kyndal is, and it's just what he loves turned up times 100, turned up times 1,000.
Yeah.
And you hear it, you hear a lot of people in wrestling say that. And at this point, I feel like I've heard it so much on podcasts, I've heard it so much on interviews and stuff like that, that it is that it's almost cliche, but it still rings extremely true that it's just got to be yourself turned up times 100. So I love the character. I think that it's a great character, and I definitely love working closely with you and excited to see what you do moving forward. Belle, go ahead and ask him one more question. Then I'll have one more question for Kyndal Fyre. We got break coming up, and we still got a lot to talk about, you guys. I know you guys have been enjoying this conversation with Mr. Broadway, Kyndal Fyre. I've enjoyed having it. But you got another question for Mr. Broadway there, Belle?
Yeah. So what are you most looking forward to that you have coming up here in the near and distant future?
Well, I'm looking forward to so much because there's so much happening.
Yeah, for sure.
it was starting in January. It was like once I said I'm going to branch out, there's just been so much back to back, and then joining the set, it was like more on top of that, and I'm just like, I'm so humbled because people are seeing me, perform and do it,
Absolutely.
in a fine way. And right now, I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to are my two tag matches coming up with
Yeah.
Haven. This is going to be the first time that we've tagged since June. Or it might have, yeah, it was definitely June.
Yeah.
And we'll be tagging at NVW on the 16th.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
we'll be tagging at Hybrid at the next show, which will be the 11th in November.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that's coming in November. Hybrid Championship
Yes.
Wrestling over there in Terre Haute, Indiana. Yeah, I love it there. Great, 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 great place. So that's the stuff that you got coming up, that you're excited about. And of course, I can only assume it's for the reason that it gives you and Haven an opportunity to kind of gel and cement what you two are trying to do as off script. Am I right? And kind of, is that the ballpark thing?
100%. Yes.
Sure.
100%.
Absolutely. And I want to see that grow. Like, I want to see you guys work well as a tag team, because I for one love it. I know Bell does too. We've talked about it. And yeah, we enjoy what you two do individually, but we also enjoy what you two do and what you guys are going to do as a tag team. And I say that what you guys are going to do, because usually when you come into this business and with somebody as ambitious as yourself and somebody as ambitious as Haven, and I can definitely feel that, because that's one thing that I feel like I wanted the set to be built around, and that's people who are ambitious, people who are hungry, people who want to leave their mark, people who want to leave their legacy. I think that this last question I want to ask is the perfect question to ask anybody in the business that have those type of aspirations. I do not see Mr. Broadway or Haven Harris as 40 milers. I do not see Kyndal Broadway and Haven Harris as people who are okay with being awesome just in their hometown. I see two young, hungry wrestlers who want to not just be a big deal in their city, be a big deal in their state, be a big deal in a couple states over, not even just be a big deal in the United States, but around the world. Um, and I think that that's easy to get lost. That mindset is easy to get lost when you're in the professional wrestling business, because so much things happen on every level that are just stupid stuff,
Yes.
just
Yes.
stupid stuff. And you deal with people who are not solid. You deal with people who are abusers, deal with people who are scammers, deal with people who like to sell you a dream and not actually give you those types of opportunities that you are hungry for as a competitor, as a performer,
Yes.
and as a person. So I guess my question for you, Kyndal, what are your goals? Where do you want to take this professional wrestling for Mr. Broadway Kyndal Fyre? What are your realistic expectations? What are maybe your not so realistic expectations? Where do you want to take this? How far do you want to take this? And I don't just mean with the set, I mean with off script and also Mr. Broadway Kyndal Fyre as a solo act.
I I I know and I don't know at the same time, if that makes
Sure.
any sense.
Makes a lot of
Mm-hmm.
sense.
There's always a thing that I learned in the theater, that it's like nothing means more than the moment that's happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Oh yeah.
um I feel like there's so much that we can do, even if it does sound far-fetched.
Yeah.
Like me and Haven are both going to be, training at Black and Brave next fall. which is a
Awesome.
very
Great facility.
Big thing for us. I
Love that for y'all.
once I do make my move to New York, my goal is House of Glory.
Yeah.
And 100% my biggest goal is to just have some sort of opportunity to showcase Mr. Broadway in the WWE.
Oh, okay.
I feel that there is so much that I could do there. Whether if it's as a worker, as a manager, I feel like there's so much that people would enjoy to see.
Sure.
I mean, I always imagine, my WrestleMania entrance as Mr. Broadway, doing an entire tap dance number before I get to the ring with an entire crowd of people. I mean, just how fantastic it would be, how different it would be.
Sure.
But
hear me out on this. I'm just saying. And look, Mr. Broadway, MJF, 2024, WWE, just music.
That'd be so good. It'd be so good.
That would be a very, very good, thing. Whether if it's opponents or a tag, hey, I would work. And one thing that I do say that would be an amazing goal to reach, even if it does sound impossible. Nothing is impossible in my book. And that is to win. I don't care if it's Smackdown or Raw's tag team titles with Haven, off script, and as the very first intergender tag team champions in the WWE.
Yeah,
I love that.
I don't care if we're the last. I don't care if it opens doors for more people to do it in the future.
Sure,
it's a thing that no matter what, that's when even on our tough days and we feel like, people may not agree with our tag team, the one thing that pushes me is knowing that we can do something that nobody's ever done before. And it's that.
Dog, I think that's a great goal to have. I really do. I think that's a great goal to have, and I think that it sets you up to break that glass ceiling and do something like that, because we're starting to see more intergender wrestling on the indies, and we're starting to see talents like Rhea Ripley start to have interactions with many men,
Yes.
and I think that we're slowly inching towards that opportunity where we can have those men versus women matches that we see so much on the indies, and that like Bell had alluded to, a lot of small town, small-minded people are like, oh well, a guy shouldn't be hitting a woman and whatnot, and
which is valid, but
which is valid, but if she took the match, if she is trained, if she can go in that ring just like any man, I think that the door should be opened up for those two genders to have a match against each other and see who can win out of it, because we're seeing it a lot more on the indies. Listen,
I have faced two members of Mount Olympus. I faced Logan.
Mount Olympus.
Very. I faced Logan and I faced Aaron. And out of the two, the one that I left with the most bruises was from Logan. Sorry, Aaron, but your girl hits harder than you.
Direct shots at Mount Olympus. Give it to him. That's what we love to hear. All right. I love what you're doing, Kyndal. I love what you and Haven are building together. I love what we are building together as the set, and what people are starting to see the set as. Even when there's dissension, even when there's arguments and disagreements, I can say I feel like that the people who watch our content vibe with that. And the reason why I say that is because the vision that I had for the set was supposed to be like kind of like a black mafia, as it were, a black mafia. And like, so when you think of mafia, you think of family. And like, I think people understand that in what the set is supposed to be, is that it's supposed to be like I said, a black mafia, Death Row Records, Rockefeller Records, that type of stuff. And you see family members fight, and you see them have arguments, and you also see them tighten up, and you also see them come together as a family. And I think that that's what we're seeing with the set, even during the dissension. I think there's some people that actually enjoy the dissension more than when we're, a cohesive unit.
Yeah.
But
everyone loves toxicity.
Of
it's
course.
true. It's true. It's so true. But I love what you are doing as a solo act. I am excited to be a small part of your journey. I'm excited to be able to manage you and see everything that you do, whether it be with the set or without the set. I'm excited to see all the strides that you make in your career, you and Haven both, but right now I'm talking to you because you have something very special, very unique, and I see that you take really good care of this very special and very unique character. And I think that things are going to happen for you. I think that things are going to happen on a high level for you. I truly do believe that, whether that be somewhere like a WWE, somewhere like a AEW, even if it's somewhere like an Impact or even an NWA. I see those things for you because you're somebody who has that mindset that the sky is not the limit. There's something past that. And I think that's a unique mindset to have, because a lot of people in wrestling don't have that. They just throw on the trunks, they just go out there, do the curtain and yell, "Let's go!" and get their few fans and their family members amped up, go out there, wrestle a match, come back, and it's like, all right, well, I did that. Time for me to be a regular Joe again. But when you can be somebody who carries themselves at a high standard, even when you're not playing that character, have high expectations of yourself, not just as the character, but as a brand and as a human being, I think that that's grounds to really do some special things in show business, in professional wrestling, in the professional wrestling business, and just in life as a whole. So this has been a really, really great interview. I think that the household really is going to appreciate it and really catch a vibe on who Mr. Broadway really is. But Bell, at this point, man, we've gone on for a while. We got to pay some bills, man.
Oh man, yeah, those things are expensive, but we got to keep the lights on in the household.
Absolutely, that's what we got to do. So, Kyndal, we have a big second half of the episode here on the other side of break. I know you're busy, man. You took some time out of your schedule. Very busy. You took some time out of your schedule to talk to me and Bell and have this really amazing conversation that I have enjoyed. I feel like Bell has enjoyed, and I also feel like that the household is going to enjoy when we drop this Monday afternoon. Should be possibly around noon, 12:30, when you guys are able to listen to this on this Monday. I was just wondering, man, and me and Bell were wondering, because of the implications of Extreme Rules and everything that we have to discuss, do you have time to possibly stay with us for a little while longer, hang with us and rock with us while we talk a little bit of Extreme Rules on the other side of the break?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have some time in my schedule. Yeah, always.
Cool. Love it.
Cool. All right, so that guys, that just made this episode that much more bigger, that much more special. Is that not only are me and Bell are going to talk about the show, the spectacle that was WWE Extreme Rules, we're also going to have Kyndal speak with us as well. So stay tuned, stick around, and when we come back, myself, the curator, and Mr. Broadway are going to talk WWE Extreme Rules. Hey guys, it's your boy the director, House of In Your House, and I'm here to let you know about a small business that produces beard products and also supports small stage independent professional wrestling stars. It's called Ring Master Beard Company. Try one of their several scents, beard oils, balms, or mustache wax, and keep your beard looking and feeling sweet. Purchase your favorite wrestlers or personalities' personalized scent, and they receive a portion of each sale. And with that being said, don't forget to pick up a bottle of the Director in Alakan House Special. Your boy, a blend of eucalyptus, mint, and tea tree oil. Have your beard feeling fresh, have your beard feeling smooth, just like your boy, the Director. Follow Ringmaster Beard Company on Twitter and Instagram at Ringmaster Beard, or on their Facebook page, and that is Ringmaster Beard Company. Check it out. Get your beard cream. Hit your beard with that. Because sometimes being a master in the ring means mastering your beard. All right, so I'll jump back into it, and here we go. All right, guys, and we are back. And of course, I am sitting in having a great conversation with, of course, my co-host, my producer, my dog, and of course, a brother in arms with the set, and that's the marvelous Mr. Bell. And we're having a great conversation. Is our first half has been an absolute banger. That's what the kids say, right? They call it a banger, right? Well, this first half of the episode has a straight banger, and that's what we've had here on this episode. Is we've had Mr. Broadway, Kyndal Fyre, come in and tell us about his career and his influences and everything that he's doing and going to do in professional wrestling. And he's decided to stick around with us as we're going to talk about WWE Extreme Rules. Before we do that, I got to thank you guys out there in the household. Thank you so much for making us a 5-star podcast on Apple Podcasts. It is truly appreciated. You guys keep us on those charts, the top 250 professional wrestling podcasts in the United States on Apple Podcasts, and that's truly appreciated and truly humbling. Guys, we've been doing this since 2019, and it's been a movie, Jack. I can say that absolutely. It has been a movie. The guests that we've had, the episodes that we've had, and everything that this podcast has been through, the ups and downs and everything, and still, with us starting back in February of 2019 and now it being October of 2022, and you guys are still rocking with us as strong as you guys have been, it's really appreciated. I truly appreciate y'all from the bottom of my heart. Guys, if you want to hear another great podcast that is kicking some great knowledge, I mean straight up, and you're hearing it from a couple of cats that are right there in the mix of things. And of course, that is NWA's The Pope, Elijah Burke, as he has this crazy relationship, and they talk about wrestling and they scuffle with each other and fight, but somehow it still ends up being a great show. 45 minutes of fire, as it were, and that is with NWA and GCW manager and personality Pollo Del Mar, as they talk about professional wrestling from their point of view, and of course talk about what's going on over there with NWA, daddy. Guys, head on over to www.prowrestlingtees.com/inyourhouse. Get yourself a shirt for the podcast. Get yourself a set shirt. Check out everything that we are doing and all these awesome designs that we have. And hey, speaking of the awesome things that we are doing, we got to go into this next awesome segment that is now even better, not just for the fact that we have myself and Bell, but now we have Kyndal that's going to be sitting in with us as well as we talk about WWE Extreme Rules and the show that it was, the spectacle that it was. Bell, We got a chance to listen to it a little bit. We were on our way back from Emerge. We'll definitely talk about Emerge a little bit more in depth later. But we listened to a little bit of the show on the way back from Emerge, and then we both watched it on Sunday. We got a chance to watch the full show. What were you thinking about this show, bro? About this about Extreme Rules going down with the WWE in Philadelphia?
Yo, I love what I caught of it. Like you
Yeah.
said, we were at Emerge. We did the Emerge thing, so we caught that. So on my drive home, I caught we'll say the good last half of it. So I caught Bianca and Bailey. I caught them live, or at least heard them, and then I heard the majority of the Seth and Riddle match. And I got home right before it ended, so I was really excited about that. But
Yes.
all in all, like, I don't really have a lot of complaints about this show. This show was supposed to, it traditionally this is a B-level pay-per-view, right? Like,
Yes. Yes.
and we ain't saying anything like wrong about it like that, but it is what it is. It's B-level pay-per-view. I didn't
Sure.
expect Bianca to lose her belt. We didn't have Roman here. I thought the Riddle and Rollins match was going to be a banger. I also thought that Bailey and Bianca was going to be a banger. And then what we got from the Judgment Day was actually a really nice surprise. We did see a title change in Ronda Rousey, or not upsetting, but uprooting Liv Morgan. But other than that, not a whole lot happened as far as like title scene wise or even
Sure.
contenders wise. We're going to see a lot of the same feuds probably up, towards a Survivor Series and on through the Saudi Arabia pay-per-view, as it escapes my crown jewel pay-per-view, right?
Yeah.
Like, but I was really happy with this. And then of course we all got the reveal of the White Rabbit, which is, Bray Wyatt, as is not a surprise to any of the world, but a surprise because thank God they actually did that. Nothing stupid.
For sure. No, I agree with that. And we're definitely going to talk about that. So we started off this night with a good old fashioned Donnybrook match. We had Imperium going up against the Brawling Brutes, and this match for me was pretty much what I expected from these two teams. Hard hitting action all over the place. Really appreciated what I saw. It was kind of what I expected. A little surprised that it was in the opener because, they did a lot in that opener. Like, they did a whole lot, but I enjoyed the match. So I'm going to throw it over to Kyndal. The Donnybrook match, and seeing these six men just beat the brakes off of each other. How did you feel about this match as far as the Brawling Brutes going against Imperium in a Donnybrook match?
Whenever I see any wrestlers who step into the ring and they have hard-hitting abilities such as Sheamus and Gunther,
yeah,
I just wonder, like, what the heck is wrong with you? Like, and it took, a lot of people, one of my favorite WrestleMania matches that nobody really thinks about was JBL versus Finlay.
Oh,
because they took it there. And I feel like Sheamus and Gunther are basically this day's JBL and Finlay.
I like that. I like that.
I like
that. I do like that. So what do you think of the action that you saw in that match? Like I said, we don't really break down matches here, but like I feel like that the action in that match is the story of that match. Yes. I mean, these are six men that are known to hit hard, hit fast. Yes. I mean, you have Gunther, who has one of the most lethal chops in the business, and then you have Sheamus, who just loves to fight. You have Butch in there, Pete Dunne. I mean, so many elements in here. So as far as the pacing of the match and the hard hitting, what were you thinking about that? And of course, Bell, you too, as far as who we ended up having win that match, and that was the Brawling Brutes. We'll start with Kyndal.
Well, I think that the if I'm because it was a 6-man match,
Yeah. Yeah.
so it had it. I think it was a really good match.
Yeah,
I
for
do
sure.
think that of course, it had its moments where it was
Yeah.
like, okay, that kind of dragged a bit.
Yeah, for sure.
You're
Yeah.
taking away from the crowd, but I feel like every time that they did pick up, it was a good pickup.
Sure.
I'm not sure how long the match went, but for it to be, I say, come with the match that Sheamus and Gunther had at the last pay-per-view, was it SummerSlam?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. That one was well, or like, put together, where
Oh, I'm sorry. Clash of Champions. I'm sorry.
Oh
okay,
yeah,
that, yeah,
Clash. Yeah.
Clash of the Castle. Clash of the
you're right,
Castle.
yeah, the castle. I feel like the way that it was put together, it was a fight, and I
Yes.
feel like this one, I just wanted it to be a little bit more of a bar brawl.
Yeah.
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 Like, I don't care about your moves, just you know kill each other at the end of the
Yeah.
day. And
For
I think that
sure.
they did a good job with that at times. I just feel like there were a couple of moments where they were just like, okay, let's go wrestling, and then
For
but
sure.
Yeah.
me, I'm a big, like, ruthless aggression type of person, so
Okay. Okay. I like ruthless aggression. I do. I do. So, Bell, where are you at with the good old fashioned Donic Book match and the outcome that we got from it?
Honestly, all I want to see is more Gunther and Sheamus, and
yes.
Yes.
just two big meaty men slapping meat, man. Like I'm all
Yeah.
about that.
Yes.
So like, just give me more of that. I wasn't low on that match, although I do agree with Mr. Fire that it did have some lulls. That if we probably could have just sped that up with a little bit more, hey, this is an actual barroom brawl, like
Yeah.
it would have probably made that match absolutely magnificent. But it did have some lulls. But overall was a really good match. And just let me see more Gunther and Sheamus.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's great to see these two stables together. Of course, we recently saw Giovanni Vinci come back from NXT and
Finally.
reemerge exactly as a member of Imperium. So I think that was a good match, and I really enjoyed it. Good opener to get the blood pumping for what the rest of the night was going to be, and we saw a match that, for my honest opinion, that's what we give here at In Your House, is our honest opinion of matches. I feel like after a match like like Imperium going up against the Brawling Brutes, I think that you do have to have a cool down match. And unfortunately, because of the reputation and years ago, not so much these days, but years ago, women matches have been looked at
It
as
ain't
the
all that,
bathroom
Con.
break
She
match.
just ain't ready.
I you know where I'm going. You
Yeah,
know
I
where I'm
already know where
going.
you're going. It ain't all that, Con. She just ain't ready. She ain't the
I
one.
get it.
They
I
just
get it.
needed to hurry up and get that shit done and give Ronda her belt back.
And that's what we saw when Ronda Rousey defeated Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship in what was to be a technical submission. Basically, Liv Morgan taps out with a smile on her face, which is a little erotic, but that's for another time. We'll talk about that another time, maybe off air. But but the fact of the matter is, yeah, I'm with you, Bell. That I personally, I like Liv Morgan. I'm a fan of Liv Morgan, but I'm also in the idea that her run was more in the sense of, hey, the fans wanted to see it. We went ahead and gave you what you wanted, but I personally do not see Liv Morgan as a top draw still. That's not to say that she will never get there, but I feel like that they made the right move by putting the title back on Ronda Rousey, who is a draw, who does draw interest and draw money, and Liv Morgan will go back and retool and try to find that connection that I feel like is missing with her, because I've said it before. I've said it on this podcast that her match with Ronda Rousey at Clash at the Castle was the best Liv Morgan match that I'd seen to date. But for me, character-wise, there's still something missing with her. I don't see her as a top draw. The match was what it was. I'm not really gonna pile into the match too much. I mean, yeah, they did have their spots. There was some brutality with some weaponry and whatnot. Um and Ronda using like her black belt and everything. But I really felt like there was a lot of awkward spots in that match as well. And I just kind of feel like it was what it was. I feel like that they were leading into that. And where could they go, right? Like Liv Morgan is not, like, respectfully, Liv Morgan is not a badass. She's not I mean, she's a all right wrestler. She's an all right wrestler. Not bad, but she's a
much improving.
I'm still improving. I always feel like this is a backhanded compliment when I use this terminology, but I say that she's a solid hand. And that's what she is. And for her to go into an Extreme Rules match with who is billed as basically the most dangerous woman on the planet, like the baddest woman on the planet, where else could they have gone with babyface Liv Morgan against, I guess, tweener? I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out the flow of what they're trying to do.
Yeah, I'm still not sure on that one.
Exactly, but what could they do besides take the title off of Liv Morgan and put it on Ronda Rousey? Were they going to do another screw job finish? I don't think so. She couldn't lose due to DQ because it was an Extreme Rules match. I think that the only possible answer in that match, in that scenario, was take the title off Liv Morgan and put it back on Ronda Rousey. But that's my opinion, and we're definitely going to ask Kyndal and Bell's opinion, and that's where I'm going to start with right there. What was your thoughts on that match, Bell? Liv Morgan going up against Ronda Rousey in an Extreme Rules match for the Women's Championship of SmackDown.
I'm going to keep it a buck, and don't hate me, household, but that match was too long. They really could have just done the black belt spot, and maybe Liv could have jumped off something, and match could have been over, and I would have been happy. I'm not gonna.
That's it.
That's it. That's what I got, bro. That's all. I mean, that match was nothing special for me. Like, yeah, of course the right person won because they needed to put the belt back on Ronda in this case. Like, legitimately, I don't think Liv was working. It was a good moment, but like, I don't have a lot of positives to say about the Liv experience as champion, so I'm opting to not say a lot.
I got you. And that's what this podcast was founded on was, I think we only bash when we have to. And I don't think that for Liv, it was a lack of effort or anything that she's doing bad.
No.
Like, I just think that it's one of those things where it's like, she needs to be doing it longer and find that connection, and I think that she'll be okay. So this is one of those times where it's like, hey, you might maybe have some not so positive thoughts on it, but like, I don't think it's a place of bashing Liv Morgan. I think it's just wanting to see her grow.
I just think that she still doesn't have a character. Now, she doesn't have to have a gimmick for me to like her by any means, but like she does need a character, and some girl just telling me to watch her sounds baity to me, and I'm not really into it.
No, I dig where you're coming from. I dig where you're coming from, and I respect your mind on that, bro. For real, I respect your mind on that. Kyndal, what did you think? Ronda Rousey defeating Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship in a Extreme Rules match. What was your thoughts on that match?
I think that choice was what was best for business, as they used to say. I feel like they missed an opportunity with Liv earlier this year at day one. That was the time for her to have won.
Not wrong there.
Once she lost that match, there was no longer a thing of, oh yeah, I want to see Liv with a title. After that, it was like, okay, yeah, the tag titles would be cool, but she lost a lot of momentum after that. And when she did win the title, it was like, well, I mean, good for her.
Yeah.
But like, they wrong timing. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like because people were like you said, people were on that Liv Morgan bandwagon earlier this year, and people were like, "Hey, we want to see her win." Like people were kind of riding her like she was the female Dolph Ziggler, as it were,
Yep.
and like solid hand, kind of overlooked, and people want to see them succeed. And then she finally did, and Bell said it was a good moment, but I just think the follow up wasn't there, and I think
Yes.
there's still some retooling that needs to be done with Liv Morgan. And now we're going to see Ronda Rousey carry that championship. Um, into coming events, and we're gonna see what comes of that. But I really don't want to prattle on that match too much, just because there really wasn't much to unpack there. What I do want to talk about is the match after that, and that was Karrion Kross with Scarlett defeating Drew McIntyre in what was a strap match, about 10-minute match. Um, and we're seeing really Karrion Kross as he returned in a high level match situation, pretty high on the card from his return. We got a chance to see him during a return during the Triple H regime change, and now we're seeing him with Scarlett again, which I think that those two really work well together. It just is a good package. But we saw him get a big win over Drew McIntyre in that strap match. And I think that that's something that was necessary for Karrion Kross. My honest opinion is I don't think that the loss hurts Drew McIntyre. We're gonna see Drew be Drew, moving forward into whatever he does next. But I think that that win was important for Karrion Kross to still be looked at as somebody who's going to be in that upper echelon, be in that top guy conversation. And I think the match just kind of was what it was. I expected these two to really beat the hell out of each other with the strap. They're two big men that can work. So I think that it was pretty much what it needed to be. Didn't hate it. I thought that my personal opinion, right guy went over. But of course, we got to get more opinions than that. We got to get it from Kyndal, and we got to get it from Bell. And now I'm going to start this question of Bell. What was you thinking about this match in terms of Karrion Kross with Scarlett going up against Drew McIntyre in a strap match?
I'm not gonna lie. So I wasn't the most excited about this match, but
Sure.
after watching everything, seeing the repackaging of Karrion Kross, the proper packaging of Karrion Kross,
Sure.
in his, I think it's safe to call this his re-debut.
Yeah.
They are getting it correctly, from his entrance music to walking out with Scarlett. That everything is right with this, and I think he deserved the win. He needed the win. He much needed the win in this scenario, more than Drew. And Drew doesn't take an L looking soft. Like my man got pepper sprayed in the eye. So like I understand the ideology of that. So
Sure.
I was pretty happy with this match. Nothing actually negative to say at all. It was exactly what Karrion Kross needed, and Drew McIntyre still does not lose any momentum. You know, we can still see him feuding with Roman within a couple more pay-per-view cycles and things like that. So
Sure.
I'm really excited to see where this leads to come. So if we're looking at after Crown Jewel and the Logan Paul Roman match, like the ending of this match may lead to implications for that match.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that Triple H is doing a solid job right now. Because people had high hopes for Karrion Kross coming out of NXT and when he transitioned to the main roster, and just the debacle that came with that, how botched his main roster debut was with the weird gimp helmet, and just all these strange things they try to do with them. Take Scarlet away. Take that thing that take that. I don't want to say that Scarlet is a prop, but in this instance, she kind of is, because she completes what Karrion Kross is. Karrion Kross looks menacing on his own, but you have this siren in Scarlett, and I think that it makes sense for what those two are doing. Kyndal, what were your thoughts on this match with Karrion Kross accompanied by Scarlett going up against Drew McIntyre in a strap match?
Like Bell said, it really wasn't something I was looking, and like, oh yeah, I want to watch this. Nah, I didn't really care too much. Not to take away from Karrion Kross, I personally, I have fell off the Drew McIntyre bandwagon.
Okay, yep.
And
That's
respect to
fair.
the man.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
did carry the WWE for the entire pandemic era, but
Pandemic champion.
yeah, but something that always like gets to me is like there Drew McIntyre is like the usual. He's what we always see as the main champion, the type of build, strong fighter type dude. He's basically the Scottish version of Roman, in my opinion.
yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I could
with
see that. I
Yeah.
could see that.
different move sets. I don't want to see that again. I would love to see varying sizes, like of champions in the future. So like somebody like Karrion Kross, I would love to see him holding a heavyweight title.
Sure.
He's something different,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah.
I've been whipped with a strap before though, and I know that does not feel the best.
Yeah.
So I definitely felt for them in this match, but yeah, I think it was the like you said, Drew McIntyre doesn't need another win right now. I mean, yeah, he can. I'm not taking away from him. I could still see him being a champion in the future, but right now we need a break from the status quo of
Sure.
champions.
I agree with that. I think they're gearing up Karrion Kross to do some really cool stuff. And I'm happy to see Karrion Kross in the spot that he's in, because it feels like that once they brought him into NXT, things seemed nice, things seemed good. And then when they called him to the main roster, they had him doing all this silly stuff, dropping Scarlet, wearing these strange stuff. But the thing that I respect about Karrion Kross from that is the fact that he did it. He didn't complain, at least from what I saw. But I didn't hear him go on any podcast and complain about it after he got released. He stayed classy, stayed
He didn't ask
professional.
for his release. If that's to tell you anything, he stood true in everything that they were asking to do, and so
Yeah, and it was just a situation where he got released, and I think because he stayed a professional and stayed true, that's why he got the call back, and I think that when you can do that, and we're gonna talk about that later with the Bray Wyatt situation, because I have a lot of thoughts on that. But when you do that, and if your goal is to be in the WWE, like I get that AEW is definitely an alternative. I'm not here to talk bad about AEW. That's not what I'm doing right here at this moment. I'm just saying a lot of people's goals are to be in the WWE. They want to be in the WWE. And I get that because of the legacy, because of what it gave to them as a child, when they were a child and everything. Of course, they want to be a part of that. It's like a kid who plays basketball wanting to be a part of the NBA. So I totally get that, but I think that he wanted to be there in the WWE, and I think that he handled it like a professional. Came back, and that's why Triple H was like, "Hey, I have this prime spot for you because of how you handled everything," and I think that that says a lot about Karrion Kross as a person as well.
agreed. Definitely agreed.
And we had another great night. We had another great match after that. And it was a match that me and Bell had said, "Hey, this is going to be a sleeper bout. This is one that we're both very excited about." I mean, it was automatic when I asked Bell that question. If you guys listened to the last episode of In Your House, it was automatic. And that is a ladder match between Bianca Belair and Bayley for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Of course, Bayley being flanked by Damage Control. Dakota Kai and Io Sky, and Bianca Belair. Well, she was on her own, and I really enjoyed this match because if you guys listen to any episode where we're talking ladder matches, you'll hear me say it again and again and again. I am an absolute fan of a ladder match. My favorite match stipulation is a ladder match because I love the unique ways that you can use a ladder in a match and utilizing it in as a weapon and many different ways. And that's why I just love a ladder match myself. Um and we saw no different in this match with Bianca Belair and Bayley. We saw Bayley on the defensive a lot during this match. We saw a lot of ladder usage. We saw Bianca Belair lift two women on her shoulders and hit them with the KOD, the kiss of death. And can I just say, as far as Bianca Belair goes, we're really seeing something special with this woman, with this wrestler, with this athlete. We're seeing something special in real time. She had gear that she had made. I forget which event it was, so forgive me. But on the back of her cape, or it said "Black History in the Making." And that is exactly what I think of when I think of Bianca Belair and everything that she has become in the WWE, especially somebody who did not come from a wrestling background. She came from track and field and I mean just a great athlete. I believe she was a lifter as well. And to see her assume this role that she has came in, it almost gives me Trish Stratus like vibes, as far as her coming in and just owning who Bianca Belair is and owning who she is as a wrestler. And she definitely deserves the spot that she was in. I personally thought that I didn't say that I wanted to see this. I just thought that this would happen. Is that I thought Bayley would win because I thought that they wanted to have a presentation where they have damage control, having all the straps and looking like the dominant female stable in WWE. But that's not where they went. They thought that it was time for Sasha to continue, or Sasha, I'm sorry, another great strong woman, of course, but Bianca to retain that strap and hold it even longer, and I'm okay with that as well. I thought the match was good. I love a ladder match, but I want to ask Kyndal here. We're gonna start with Kyndal. What were your thoughts on Bianca Belair and Bayley in a ladder match for the Raw Women's Championship?
I have done 2 ladder matches in my career.
Yeah,
it's not fun, especially when you have like those people that like to come in and push the ladder over. So I'm pretty sure that when Bianca had that maybe 15-foot fall,
yeah,
it was just like, ooh, these are 2 women in the industry who has made some sort of impact.
yes,
Even with like the common hate that Bianca may get, she still, it's like the female John Cena. She has yet to allow it to bother her.
yes, yes,
She has yet to allow it to get to her head where she feels like, hey, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not set out to be a women's champion. And then you got Bayley, who, I mean, even though me personally, I loved hugging Bayley,
yeah,
the big hug and that belly to belly, whatever it was called.
yeah. Bayley to
Suplex.
belly. That was it. Yeah,
Yeah,
Bayley to belly suplex. That was it.
right.
Yep.
She just has. They both have such great star quality,
Yes,
and I did actually expect Bayley to win, being that she had the advantage with having 2 people on her side.
for sure, for sure.
But Bianca just proves that she is the EST of the
That she is.
WWE, and
That she
she
is.
did her thing, and she continues to do her thing. But I would not have been upset if Bayley won, though.
Yeah, I that was one of those matches where either scenario I would have been fine with, because I'm a fan of Bianca and I'm also a fan of Bayley, and I love this incarnation of Bayley, like from the NXT days. And trust me, NXT was my show, so I watched a lot of NXT. So I loved Bayley for being the hugger and being what she was, but I always felt like that her gimmick was, at least in the beginning, it was an overly happy mark.
Okay.
You know, like, oh, I'm just happy
it.
to be here.
Yeah.
I'm excited. This is awesome. This is great. I want to be this role model for all the little girls out there, which was awesome, which was great. So when she became this big villain, I never would have imagined it in her, because Bayley was always sweet and nice and the girl next door. So to see her morph into this bitchy character that she's become, and I personally love it. She's tapped into something that I didn't see in her, and I'm glad that she did, because now Bayley's recreated, and I really love to see it. So that's why I say it's one of those scenarios where either woman could have ended up hoisting the gold, and I would have been fine. But Belle, what did you think about this ladder match?
Yo, so Black Twitter says that Bianca Belair is everything that Charlotte Flair should have been, but better. And
hot take Jones. Hot take Jones.
And I can't help but to agree with that. But I also love Bayley Jessie Raphael. I love this version of Bayley. She's everything. I know she is going to beat Bianca, and I think she is the one that does beat Bianca.
Sure.
But not yet. I didn't feel like it was the time yet.
Sure.
You know, this was kind of their first touching. Did anybody else get the certain the vibes that, like, I was really expecting a Sasha and Naomi. Maybe it's just me, but Michael Cole kept alluding to Bianca's by herself. Bianca's by herself.
Yeah,
she doesn't have anybody, and that kept sticking with me throughout the match.
I think you kind of anticipated with the the 3-on-1 basically.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think I was expecting that. Maybe there's a little bit of fanboy in me that really, really wanted that, but I thought that match was everything it was supposed to be, and then some. It was so dramatic from beginning to end, and they just kept the pace up.
Yeah, it was a good match. It, once again, like you said, it was what I expected it to be, and I love a ladder match. So, like, there's very few ladder matches that I don't like. And now we're gonna see this continue. I'm sure this is not the last we're going to see of Bayley and Bianca Belair going up against each other. And yeah, I enjoy it. I think that we possibly rekindle this maybe at Survivor Series, maybe, unless they're going to go with the champion versus champion gimmick, which they've been known to do for the last couple of years.
I think they halt.
I do see it coming.
I think they halt, and I hope that we get a Ronda versus Bianca at Survivor Series, and then come back to more Bayley and Bianca, because I think that's a story that's going to have as much meat on it as you cut it, right? So, like, we don't have to shove it right down our throats or anything right now. We can take a second, have a little bit of palate refresher, and then go back to that.
But also another great, Survivor Series thing could be, if we want to bring back Sasha and Naomi, do a 6-man tag between those two teams. That way you don't have to, the title don't have to be on the line. We don't have to do the Smackdown versus Raw thing, which I hear they're trying to steer away from. Maybe not fully, but at least a little.
This year is supposed to be more so. I don't know if they're completely taking away the traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5, but we do have the addition of War Games and 2 War Games matches at the Survivor Series, so it'll be a lot to really like. It'll be good to see what they have in store, what their thought process is on how we construct these matches.
And if I'm not mistaken, Bianca is an alumni to War Games, is she not?
I believe she is.
I believe she is, yes.
So
I believe that she is.
I think that, having at least one, war game veteran especially if they have a women's match,
Absolutely.
in war
Absolutely.
games, she's the right candidate.
Absolutely.
Makes sense.
But even the
Makes
idea
sense.
of Bianca versus Ronda in a War
It's
Games
still
match,
lit. It's still
it
lit.
still
Yeah.
sounds lit though, right? So like
Yeah.
Yeah.
they can't go
Yeah.
wrong either way.
No. Mm-mm.
Even if they just do champion versus champion with no titles on the line, they're not trying to unify the championships. It could be a situation where Bayley even cost Bianca Belair the match against Ronda Rousey, and that
Mm-hmm.
moves into continuing their feud. So that's something to think about
Yes.
as well. But yeah, love the match. Enjoy what these two women are doing and enjoying everything that these two women are going to be doing moving into the future. But we got to move into the future here, and that's our next match. And that was Finn Balor of Judgment Day, and he was flanked by Judgment Day. They came out at some point going up against Edge in an I Quit match, and this match was the longest match on the card at almost 30 minutes. I think that I personally think it went on a little too long. Not saying I hated the match, but there was some points in the match where I was like, they could have brought this home like 5-10 minutes ago and it would have been fine. But once again, 30-minute match that we saw that went on for a while. And of course, everything that they put each other through to get to the point. But let's talk about that ending. I think that ending is the main thing to talk about. And I think I started with Kyndal on the last one, but I'm going to start with Kyndal on this one as well, just because of the ending of that match. And I know that Kyndal has some thoughts on the ending of that match, because you folks out there, if you guys follow Kyndal's career, or maybe if you don't, I'll fill you in. Very similar match ending in one of his matches over here in the Indies, and they did something similar to that, as you guys saw at Extreme Rules, where they pretty much forced. There was nothing that they could have done physically to Edge to make him say I quit. But since his wife Beth Phoenix got involved, we also saw Rey Mysterio get involved as well. But we saw Beth Phoenix come in and basically was the sacrificial lamb to make Edge say I quit. And I personally think that that's great storytelling, and I feel that way because I said the exact same thing when I saw the ending of Kyndal's match that involved himself and Haven in an I quit match. And basically same scenario, not his wife but his best friend, who you couldn't do nothing to me. There's nothing that you could do to me to make me say I quit. But when you start getting my loved ones, my family, the people that I care about involved, and you're hurting them, I don't want to put them through that. And I thought that was a great match finish for what ended up being a real good match. But I'm going to throw it to Kyndal. And what did you think about this match? Finn Balor of the Judgment Day going up against Edge, beating Edge in an I Quit match.
I think that Edge has become obsessed with having very long matches. I feel like ever since he's returned, everything is like, hey, I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna do an entire episode of the Oprah show. What I love Edge, and
Sure.
I still think that the match was a good match, but there's like a lot of things that could have been taken out. There was like I'm not even gonna lie. I feel like the whole three spears and then the three coup de grace. It was like, okay, so you're supposed to get the person to say I quit, not to knock them out. You know what I mean? There has to be some sort of motivation to get this person to say I quit. And even though I loved, I mean, even though it's the same way that I said I quit, like you said, when I was facing Khalil, they just added a lot more to it that I was just like, the story told itself 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you're still trying to tell the story, but you're trying to make it meaty. We don't need all that. We just need it. He's cuffed. I didn't even. I mean, yeah, sure, she could have uncuffed him, but it's still for all of them. It was just too much. At the
Overly
end,
convoluted.
exactly. It's like I was sad before it happened because I knew it was happening, but then by the time it finally happened, I was like, all right, I'll pull over and grab some McDonald's now because
It's
it,
going too long.
it's going too long. Yeah.
For sure. For sure. No, I agree. That was my complaint. The match wasn't bad, but that was my complaint in the matches. I think that they took too long to get to where they wanted to get to. What are your thoughts on it, Bill? What did you think about this I Quit match?
This was actually one of my favorite matches. Now I know last
Sure.
week we said that this is going to be really good, and
Mhm.
I know that we reported on In Your House, on the In Your House page, that Finn is due for a major push. So in this
Yes.
match, I was looking for Finn to come out with the victory and in a dominant sort of way. And I
Yeah.
think that they pulled this off. The match itself was every bit of back and forth that you expected it to be. Edge is nothing more than a stubborn old man who's not going to give up, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the story that they told. Now the end was slow. I don't love that it. We could have knocked out Ray, Beth could have interfered, and a lot of that could have been a little bit faster.
Yes.
It was very drug out. Did not love that part, but I understood every aspect of the storytelling that they were going for in this matter. So
Sure.
I did not hating on it. Maybe if I don't know. Maybe we were just tired by this time. If we had a little bit less Liv and Donnybrook earlier in the show, maybe this would have made more sense. But but overall, think it's it was a great match, and I cannot wait to see where Finn goes from here, and where the rest of Judgment Day goes, because it's one of the hottest things in WWE going, short of the Bloodline.
Yes.
I agree with that. I love that we get a lot of Judgment Day sprinkled throughout the course of Monday Night Raw, and I really love this career resurgence for Finn Balor. I love what they're doing with him, and I love what they're gonna do with him, because as you already stated, they're going to be it looks like they're going to be pushing him a lot more. As one of the
As they
top
should be.
guys. Yeah, absolutely, as one of the top guys in the company. And I think about top guys in the company, and I think about this next match. And this next match involved who I consider to be a top guy in the company, and that's Seth Rollins. And Seth
Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins going up against Matt Riddle. In the fight pit, we had Daniel Cormier as the special guest referee for this match. I think he did a pretty decent job of it, and really getting into what his role was in this match as the referee. I think there was one spot at some point in the match where they were calling it on commentary, and they were right to point it out. They're like, why isn't he counting? He's not counting. He should be counting. But as far as what he did in the match, I think he did a great job as a special guest enforcer, special guest referee, whatever you want to call it. And I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the uniqueness of the structure. I enjoyed the fact that the structure got used to its potential, because it's like, why do you put like this balcony type thing up there if they're not going to use it?
Right.
So I'm glad that they did. I'm glad we got some usage of that. The floating bro off the top down really looked good to me. At least the camera angle that I saw it at looked really good.
Yeah.
I think that it makes sense for Riddle to win, because that is a good way for him to be like, hey bro, I'm done with you. You threw dirt on my name and on my family's name. Now it's time for me to move on and do what's next in my career. And Seth Rollins is going to move on and do what's next for him, whatever that may be. I think this feud, as good as it's been, needs to end. And I hope that because of that victory, that Riddle that Riddle took home. I hope that is the end of it. Bell, what did you think about this match? What did you think about the fight pit, the match that we're both looking most forward to between Matt Riddle and Seth freaking Rollins?
I was not disappointed in this match, although I was slightly disappointed that my personal Lord and Savior Seth freaking Rollins did not come out with a victory. But wins will come, wins will go. He is the Monday Night Messiah forever.
Yes.
So, but with that, I thought it was an actually great match. Loved Seth Rollins coming out with the RVD inspired gear.
Yes, that was cool.
If you look on Twitter, RVD was confused about that and about a lot of other things. I don't know, but maybe somebody needs to grab his brownies away from him. But but it's all good. I love the gear that Seth had. I love the energy that the match had. One of the Superman punch off the cage from Matt Riddle to almost start the match, or very shortly into the match, was very, very hot. Got me kind of into it. Made me realize, hey, we're going to utilize this structure as a whole, which is what I wanted to see. And I think it was a good main roster introduction into a match that a lot of the mainstream fans of wrestling didn't see, because if you didn't watch NXT, if you didn't see Riddle versus Thatcher in the fight pit, or anything like that, like this is all new to you. But I like the presentation that it gave, and it really gave plus Daniel Cormier gave this match an actual fight legitimacy. And shout out to Ariel Helwani, who did the pre-match narrative that made it much more real too. I love that too.
Yes. No, I really enjoyed this match. I really hope that it's not the last time that we see the fight pit. I don't think it will. I think it'll end up being one of those things that becomes a special Matt Riddle match stipulation.
I think so too.
And I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. Like, have him break out the fight pit anytime a feud has boiled over to a point where it's like, all right, we got to settle this in the fight pit. So I enjoyed that. But Kyndal, what did you think of the fight pit? Seth Rollins, Matt Riddle.
I think that it was like you guys said, it was exactly what you would expect it to be. I think that the buildup was my favorite part. I think it was like a random fan capturing them fighting in the background. I was just like, you guys are like, this looks as realistic as possible. I felt like I knew these people, and I wanted to come in between and be like, hey guys, let's be sensible and bring it off. Like it was just everything. My legs, I remember I was driving watching this, and my legs were like literally shaking when they got to the top. I'm afraid of heights. So every time they got to a point where you're going to fall and you're going to die on national television, and it's going to suck. But they did it, and
do it for wrestling.
They did it for wrestling. And I got to go with Bill. I was expecting Rollins to pick up the win on this one, but good for Riddle.
Yeah. And of course, that was a great match, and I enjoyed the match. But we got to talk about what happened right after the match. This is exactly. I mean, we had a great time talking about the matches itself, and it was great. And we're definitely going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk. We're going to have Kyndal give us his plugs, let him know where we can find him out, and then we'll get on out of here. But of course, we're talking about the reemergence, the re-debut of Bray Wyatt. What that debut was, how they did it, the presentation. I mean, there's so much to unpack here, and I really enjoyed it for what it was. There was some love shown in there for Brody Lee. Some of you might know him as Luke Harper. The references to the Firefly Funhouse, everything that was presented, and I mean, I happen to know on good authority from people that I know that are with the company that I, out of respect, won't name their names, that a lot of this stuff was done spontaneously, as far as this re-debut, and after it and how everything went. You got to think that locker room morale after this show and everything that entailed it has to be at an all-time high. But Bell, what did you think about how they presented the re-debut of Bray Wyatt?
Just give me more Bray Wyatt, more and more and more. I will follow the rabbit hole. As I will hop, I will skip, I will jump. I'll die. I'll duck, dodge, dive in a hole. I don't care. Just give me more White Rabbit. You can see. Look,
As we can
I'm
see
white,
here,
little White Rabbit crazy. Give me more. Give me more braid and mask. I don't care.
yeah.
He'll be my other personal savior. I can have as many as I want. Don't judge me. All right. So like, just give me more. The only thing I worry about with this is I love Bray. I don't want to see the Fiend anymore, and I hopefully that does not hurt the hearts of the household. But listen, this is a new iteration of Bray.
Yeah.
Hopefully, let us take the things that worked from before and let us use them. But I want to see a different version. I really would just like to see Bray the person, to be honest.
Yeah. Sure.
Now I hope that he uses those other elements of his character, where sometimes we'll see a little Fiend, sometimes we will see a little Funhouse Bray, sometimes we will see a little, backwoods Louisiana Bray.
For sure, follow the buzzers.
Yeah. I hope that we see a little bits of all of those elements with that, with this iteration, whatever it may be. But I don't want to see the Fiend, and the only reason I don't want to see the Fiend is because I thought he was packaged way too overpowerful before.
Yeah.
Which made it hard.
So then when he ended up losing to Seth Rollins and Hell in a Cell, and then eventually Goldberg, when you make a character that powerful and then they lose like that, if I got to use this terminology because it's real, you're kind of stepping on your own dick. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I hope that they don't get into that realm anymore. Because I want to see Bray dominant and I want to see him powerful and things like that. But realistically, I don't want to see him that powerful where it bites everyone else's stories off. So like we have to make a way for Bray's world to cleanly incorporate itself into the world of WWE.
Yes, and I don't think this character should be based on wins and losses or being absolutely dominant, because the thing that's special about Bray is the unique way that he weaves stories into what he does.
Absolutely.
So we don't have to make him overpowered or anything like that. So I agree with that aspect. I do think we're going to see Bray Wyatt the person, because even though we did see the lantern and we saw him with the mask, he did unmask.
Yes.
He hopefully
said, "I'm here."
Yes. Yeah, so who knows what this is going to lead to? A lot of speculation, but I'm going to give it over to Kyndal and get his thoughts on what he thinks about the re-emergence of Bray Wyatt in the WWE.
I think that this was the most amazing thing that has happened in the WWE in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
It's forget the wrestler. It's the artistic value behind it.
Oh, yeah.
They told a story without saying a word. There was a person singing in the background. You saw each and every individual character that was in the Firefly Funhouse. You saw the thing that the Fiend. You saw Bray Wyatt, and there was so much story in what was it, 5 minutes? I think that entire moment was 5 minutes long. What, maybe one sentence was said.
Yeah.
And I mean, even Michael Cole sold the hell out of it. And it was
he did an amazing job.
Are we off the air? Are we off the air?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
And I felt like it was so creative that I wouldn't even know if I was like a writer, I wouldn't know what to do next because it was so beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
do we even bring him back on Raw or SmackDown? Do we wait until the next pay-per-view? Do
Right.
we, it's almost like Undertaker value. You know
Yeah.
how when
Mhm.
Undertaker got to the point where he was just wrestling at WrestleMania,
Yep.
it's that value where it's just like, man, I don't think I want to see this man on a regular USA or maybe Fox.
Or
I'll
Fox.
probably
Yeah.
Fox is fine,
Yeah.
but like I want to see him at the next pay per view. I want to see what big thing he's going to do next. I'm not ready to watch him wrestle,
Yeah. Oh
Not wrong
no,
there.
I'm ready to hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
I want to hear what he has to
and
say.
I also have to agree with Bell. I don't want to see the Fiend as a regular because I feel like they ruined the Fiend.
Oh yeah.
With and I don't really consider the loss
Who killed
against
the
Seth
world?
as a really loss because Seth was a more of a DQ,
Yeah. Yeah.
even though it really
Which
wasn't a DQ, which was weird.
it, a no contest in a Hell in
Yeah,
a Cell, and it really had people in uproar.
but losing to Goldberg in the amount of time that
Mm,
he did,
yeah.
Mhm.
had like this man took how many curve stomps and still got up, but then he took what maybe three spears, and it was like maybe two, three spears and a jackknife, and that was the end. It ruined it. It ruined the entire value of the Fiend for me, and I also have to say I don't want to see Bray Wyatt with a title. This man has enough artistic value that a title will do nothing but hold him back.
Yeah. Yeah. I could agree with
Because
that because even when he had the
mhm,
title as the Fiend, it was just like,
yeah,
eh.
but the thing about winning a title is you have to lose that title. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just not ready to see him really in a vulnerable position yet.
The one thing
For
I would
sure.
like for Bray to keep is if it's from an aspect of the Fiend, I would like everyone that he encounters to be changed.
Yes,
If
Yeah.
if that could hold true or
yes,
stay in there, that would be so amazing because we saw the transformation of Seth
yes.
after his interactions with Bray. We saw the transformations of um,
Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Like if they can hold true to that, that would be, and just use him as a character catalyst of change or whatever.
Yeah.
exactly.
But yeah,
No, I
Um,
agree. I agree
mhm.
with that.
And then I also a personal like want is I want them to bring back I want John Cena to come back at some point so that we can finish the whole Firefly Funhouse match story because I feel like there's still a sort of heel turn and it
Something
ain't no
there.
dance move. I feel like there's something there that we can get from out of another like a revisit of the John Cena and Bray Wyatt rivalry.
I could see that. I would like to see
not
that,
wrong there.
especially in this new incarnation of what we're going to see with Bray Wyatt. And honestly, I thought Extreme Rules was a great show.
Yes.
I thought we were involved in a great show at Emerge this past
Yes.
weekend. Bump in the Night. Emerge 62 had a whole lot of fun. Got a chance to be with Sam, be with P, be with you, Bell, and now we're gonna move on to the next one and everything that you have coming up next, and what we're gonna do next. I mean, I think that Emerge is a great place for us to grow what we're doing and continue to grow what we're doing as the set. And I was happy to get you and Haven in there
Yes.
to be able to be in an environment where it's like this place is very wrestling centric. Like
Hmm.
sometimes I think we talked a little bit about this after the show, and I don't want to pull back the curtain too much, but I think that this is something that we could talk about with the fans, with the household. Is that a lot of these smaller Indiana shows, it's really just the wrestlers' families, or maybe a few people coming, and it's like it's maybe 30, 40 people or something like that, and they're not really into it. I mean, they're kind of into it, but it's like, that's not what you're getting with the merge. With the merge, you're getting a crowd of like 150 to 200 people that are there to watch wrestling. They're there to see a story being told and see action in the ring, which I think is a great vibe. So before we slide out of here and call this a really great episode, could you talk about what it's been like doing a merge for you?
The show that we just had was actually amazing. That was personally my first experience of a crowd as large as that one
Yeah,
was,
yeah,
and
yeah.
um what I enjoy is looking out into the audience and the crowd and seeing people reacting to me. You know,
Yeah.
this wasn't Kyndal Fyre's debut. This was like Prince Charles becoming the king of England. Like, this was my moment. It was a big entrance. It was a big match. It was a very dumb ending. My shoulders were not on the mat, and I am going to stick to that.
I saw
And we're
that.
going to
I
listen.
saw
I'm gonna
that.
get with
I even
Chris
have
Lowe.
footage.
I'm gonna get
I
with
have
Chris Lowe.
footage.
We
I
gonna get
curated
this
it.
knocked out.
Exactly. So, yeah, once we can be able to do things, where I have a partner who actually wants to work with me, we may leave with the
Don't
tag
be
team
so hard
titles.
on Pete. Don't be so
Well,
hard on Pete. He's
no,
going through
B,
some
I'm gonna
things.
hear about it, Jack. I'm gonna
Yeah.
hear about it.
Yeah. Well, I don't care at that point. It's like we're trying to do things to make this group better, and somebody
sure.
worrying about themselves. It hurts the quality of the set.
Well, you're not wrong there, Jack. And the quality that you bring to the set is very much valued. Everything that you're doing, everything that you're gonna do, man, it's really cool to see in real time. And I was happy to get you into Emerge and have you get your feet wet with a crowd that size and have that type of opportunity, because that's what I wanted to be, was a catalyst for opportunity, because I know what it's like to kind of be held down and have these big ideas and have all this talent, like, and I can say it, like, there was so much time, there was a lot of time in my life where I was like, man, I know I'm talented, but if I say it, I'm gonna look like an asshole, but now I'm at a stage where I'm like, yes, I am talented, yes, I am good at what I do, and yes, I have been held down. So if I can give that opportunity to somebody that is talented, somebody that is good, somebody that is not getting those opportunities that they deserve, and I can help get those opportunities, I'm gonna do it. And that's why I'm so happy to have you and Haven in the set, a part of what we're doing. P's always rough around the edges. That's just P. He's gonna be P. But now we're moving forward. P wants to do his own thing, and now we're gonna move forward with the set with myself and Sam and Belle and Haven and yourself, and we're gonna make a movie, Jack. And that's exactly what this episode was of In Your House. It was an absolute movie, and we got to get out of here, man. And before we get out of here, we got to have our guest plug where he's going to be at next, where you can find him. And we want to give that opportunity. We want to give that floor on our platform to give you that chance to let everybody know where they can find you at and where they can see what you're doing at. So go ahead and plug away, my friend. Plug where they could find Mr. Broadway, Kyndal Fyre.
Well, I have shows coming up at EPW, HCW, NVW, and I will be making an appearance in Colorado November 5th. My first West show. So that's going
That'd be
to be
cool.
an interesting one. You can find me on Instagram at _Mr. Broadway. And you could find me on Twitter at Mr_Broadway. I think it's 2 underscores actually, but try both, Mr__ Broadway or Mr_ Broadway. Either way, it's Mr. Broadway.
Yes. And man, everything that you're doing, the journey that you are taking, it's cool to be a part of. And just thank you, man. Thank you for taking some time out, coming and talking with me and Bell, giving us this opportunity to get to know Mr. Broadway Kyndal Fyre a little bit better, and not just us, giving our listening audience an opportunity to figure out who you are a little bit better and connect more with Mr. Broadway. So thank you for coming on, bro. Truly appreciate you, and hopefully we can get you back on at some point. Oh, you got something you want to say? Go ahead.
One last plug.
Sure.
Our off script Instagram page is offscript_wrestling.
Gotcha. Yes. Follow off script, because it's not just Kyndal Fyre. It's not just the set, guys. This is off script. This is something special between Kyndal Fyre and Haven Harris. And I think that if you guys follow that journey between these two young wrestlers, these two hungry wrestlers, you're going to enjoy what you see and you're going to enjoy the growth. So once again, man, thank you for coming on, man. Truly appreciate you coming on. I hope this is not the last time that we get you on to come on and give your thoughts on wrestling and talk about your career, where it's at and where it's going to be at the time that we talk again. But once again, man, thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Hey, it's nothing, man. It's nothing. And Bell, you know what time it is, man. You got to let them know where they can find you at, dog.
Yo, thank you, Household, for allowing us into your hearts, into your minds, into your souls, into your wrestling spirits again this week. My name is, again, the marvelous Mr. Bell. I am the curator of the set. I am the curator of In Your House page, Facebook group, and everything else. You can find me at Curator Bell across all social platforms. I made it really easy for you, unless you don't know how to spell curator, which that's your problem, and you're not up to my class anyways. But with that, I'm going to slide it to my homie Khan so you can find out where to find the director.
Absolutely. I appreciate you, bro. One last thank you to Mr. Broadway Kyndal Fyre for giving us an absolutely great conversation and sticking around and talking to us. Yeah, baby Broadway. There we go.
Do some jazz hands.
Baby Broadway, we love to see it. Once again, thank you so much. And as far as where you can find me at, you guys can find me at the Hollywood House on IG. Also, it is Hollywood House on Twitter and on my Facebook page. And also you can follow this great podcast across all social media platforms. That is IG, that is Twitter, that is Facebook, and that is at In Your House. Guys, we are growing really strong and really fast, up over 21,000 followers. So please continue to give us a follow. Please download this great podcast. Please get a shirt. And once again, that's In Your House. That's HOWSE. And the W stands for work. So let you guys know where you guys can listen to this at. You guys can listen to this at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Hey, you don't have an Apple device? That's all right. We're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, hey, we can get to you. Hey, if you guys want to know where you can catch this set at next, you can catch us doing our thing at Heroes and Legends. That's going down on the 29th of October. And it's going to be a movie, Jack, because we're going to be in Fort Wayne. It's going to be a big stepper situation. Head on over to www.prowrestlingtees.com/inyourhouse. Go on and get this work so you can go ahead and get this shirt. And guys, we tell you this all the time. Hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone. Because the household, we still going mighty strong. You guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.